of a deadly fate. Give up your children, separate. Bide your time, lie in wait. Sonic Underground, Sonic Underground. They made a vow their mother will be found. The children grow, learn what's right. Leaders of the freedom fight. They seek their mother, she knows they do. Is it time? If she only knew. Will the prophecy come true? Sonic Underground, Sonic Underground.
I long for my children, but I have to wait. To act too soon could seal their fate.
They made a vow their mother will be found. Sonic Underground.
And welcome everybody back to another Zoom Doomin' episode of Sonic the HEDGEPod. This is Justin Germeroth here.
Whoa, get that ring! This is TV's Kevin Lanigan.
And with us is Evan Luberda. Now, Evan, would you describe yourself as what the kids call a gamer?
I would refer to myself as what the kids call a gamer.
Now, these gamers, they play the video games?
Yes, I'm quite well versed in the vidya or video games, depending on where you're from.
So what is that, like, you play a little Pitfall, a little, you got an Atari, or what's this all about?
Are you a centipeder?
I do like all those games. I recently got to upgrade to the Sega Genesis, so really a step up from my Atari and
that's the good stuff.
Just wait for the Dreamcast, baby.
Yeah.
Oh man, I can't wait for that. I can't wait for Intellivision either. I've heard really good things about that.
Flying straight to planet Saturn.
That's what we call a company killer, folks. Yes, welcome back. Now, Evan, I don't know how much of your personal business you want to put out on the pod, but you are perhaps the gameriest gamer I know. And that is not as much of an insult as it sounds. To go to Evan's apartment is to be bedecked on all sides, really just like inundated with Assassin's Creed statues, Star Wars memorabilia, video game pre-order exclusive dragons.
Yes, it's Dragon's Age knickknacks, League of Legends tchotchkes, just
Halo swords. It's a real, and it is fully rooms devoted to Skylanders miniatures. It is a sight to behold, and I am truly impressed by what you've been able to accumulate in your time as a gamer.
Hey, thanks. I cut back on the Skylanders, but otherwise everything you said is pretty much accurate.
Oh, why? Why?
Because I don't have a place to put them, and B,
you ran out of room?
Yeah,
I had to make room for my Lego Dimensions portal, so I had to get rid of my Skylanders.
So listen, there was too much Disney Infinity.
The good news is the Lego's Dimension portal is collapsible because it's made out of Legos. So I didn't have to worry too much about space on that one.
Oh, good.
Yes, but I have played the Lego Dimensions. I have done that. But yes, the Skylanders got put away. But otherwise, it's all pretty accurate, everything that you just said.
Isn't there a Sonic the Hedgehog expansion for Lego Dimensions?
I don't know. Yeah, I think there probably is. I don't know for sure.
I would be disappointed if there weren't. Sonic
I never got
Lego Dimensions.
Is that a real thing?
Yes, indeed. You get the Blue Blur himself. Let's see what else you get with this Sonic Dimensions expansion. You get a Sonic Speedster car, and you get the
one thing Sonic is known for is ride.
Cars. He's got a sick ride, and of course
that.
you get a miniature of the Tornado, the famous plane of Miles Tails Prower.
Yeah, that's not Sonic though.
And that is fucking it. That is all you get.
So if I remember correctly, every single one of the Lego Dimensions figure sets that you got came with a character and at least one vehicle, and then usually something else that was useful. So it's nice to hear that this one's actually 4 things.
It is, you get a miniature Sonic the Hedgehog. You get one new game level in the game Lego Dimensions.
Oh, boy.
And you get two vehicles. Not another beloved character from the Sonic canon. You get two... everyone loves the Sonic Speedster. It's an iconic
one
whip.
Of which is iconic.
Yeah, I think the tornado has passed into iconography. The Sonic Speedster could literally be anything from any game or comic or show I've ever seen, and I would believe it looks exactly like all other cars. It doesn't have cool spikes or anything.
No decal. It's just like a bright blue Honda Civic.
Assumedly, it goes fast. But that is what we're looking at. I am truly. Let's just talk about this now, since all of these games are virtually dead.
Okay, so
Lego Dimensions was the.
Yeah.
No. Justin, I'm getting this out. Lego Dimensions was the biggest fucking grift
here
in the history of video game. It was an absolute fucking grift. It is, and the same thing of, I'm sorry, Evan, Skylanders, Disney Infinity, where it was a game you were constantly spending significant money on in order to actually have things to play inside of it. It's like, oh, you bought, the Lilo and Stitch toy. I mean, that's great, but if you want to play Star Wars, you got to throw down $15 more on some Star Wars figurines. They really had a good thing going, and that bubble inevitably burst. But man, they were milking all of that. Lego Dimensions, I think, had the best shot, because it was like, wow, Doc Brown gets to hang out with Emmett from the Lego movie, gets to hang out with Sonic the Hedgehog, and it could not sustain itself. But, they made their money while they could.
Yeah. No, I think you're right. It's I will say, for the record, the only reason that I purchased Skylanders in the first place was because when I was a very young boy, I told my friends, I don't understand why video games don't make toys that you can use in video games. Like, it didn't make sense to me that me and my friends, we liked going outside and playing with, like, toys, action figures, all that different stuff, and we liked playing video games. So what if you had a video game that could go into, or a toy that could go in a video game, and then it could come back out to play with you? And so when Skylanders came out, I was like, darn, I wish I had known about copyright when I was 12 years old, because that would have been great.
So you're trying to prove a point?
I wanted to know how good it was. And then, as Kevin said, suddenly I was spending $100 so I could buy a bunch of other figures so that I could unlock little bits of extra levels and do extra things in a game.
Yeah, it was a hell of a thing. Don't worry, Google screenshots have returned to me. One, the appearance of Big the Cat. So at least he is featured. Do not worry. And the second one is, of course, Sonic the Hedgehog hanging out at the Simpsons house with Homer. It's a classic. What will those two get up to?
Classic meet cute.
What will those two get up to? And if the Futurama and Family Guy Simpsons crossovers are any indication, it will be the worst episode of anything you've ever seen in your entire life.
I can barely contain my excitement.
Oh, can't wait.
But Homer goes slow, but Sonic goes fast.
This classic turtle in the hair story,
man.
But they both love chili dogs.
Yes.
And really,
that's what
isn't that what mattered?
Yeah.
I agree. The yellow ring, it looks like a donut, and Homer's gonna try and eat that ring.
If that doesn't happen in that expansion, I think someone committed a crime.
That's something that they could be sued for. And speaking of crimes, folks, we're here for the game debate of the century. The most important debate that has ever been had about games. Is Sonic good for gaming?
Yes. And we, Evan and myself, have both Lincoln Douglas debate style been assigned a position to defend. I am, of course, against Sonic. I hate that blue hedgehog. I am cosplaying as Eggman. I am the Robotnik stance in this debate, and I think Sonic is bad for games, bad for gamers, and bad for society.
Are you in the costume of the live-action Sonic movie Eggman?
No, I have my full cosplay of cartoon Eggman that involves a big inflatable sumo-style suit on my top half and little crunchy skinny jeans on my bottom half.
Perfect.
Love it.
And then I, of course, am the opposite stance on that. I believe that Sonic is the true hero of gaming, much like his game Sonic Heroes, which I'm sure will no doubt come up at some point in time. But yeah, I unfortunately did not bring my Sonic cosplay. I didn't know that that's what we were looking for, but I'm searching around for anything blue that I can throw on to help me get more into the mood.
Excellent. Now, while you're doing that, let's establish our frames of references here before we go into the arguments. What were your guys' first Sonic games you ever played? The most recent Sonic game you played? And then which game did you play the most of?
All right. So my first Sonic game would have been at a friend's house on a Sega Dreamcast. What would Sonic Adventure 1 if it was on the Dreamcast?
I think just Sonic Adventure.
I just remember fighting Knuckles. That is my primary memory, was fighting Knuckles, and then of course playing as Knuckles, and as a kid going, this sucks. This fucking blows. The one that I would have put the most time into, was that one of the questions?
Yeah, it's which one did you play most recently, and which one did you play the most of?
Okay, I have not picked up a Sonic game in a very, very long time. So I will conflate the two. I played a lot of the GameCube era of Sonic, which was, of course, Sonic Heroes, and double, of course, Shadow the Hedgehog. So the one I would have played more recently would be Shadow the Hedgehog, a completely incomprehensible nightmare of a game where at every 20 seconds your objective is changing depending on which character is nearest to you, and it is very difficult to tell whose instructions you're supposed to listen to, because suddenly, Sonic is telling you, whoa, you gotta kill all the black aliens, and then suddenly, Eggman is like, no, you need to kill the army. And you're like, should I kill the army? Who should I listen to here? And then, of course, because all objectives were impossible, you would end up just getting to the end of the level having completed nothing. And Shadow would say something like, I'm really just in this for myself. I don't follow anyone's rules. And so the one I would have put the most time into would be Sonic Heroes, a game that no one has beat. You can't prove it to me that anyone has played all the playthroughs of that game. The conceit of that game is that there are 4 teams of Sonic characters.
You have to play it 4 times.
You have to play it through 4 times, and no, they don't change the levels. You have to play it through 4 times. Sonic, Tails, and Knuckles are one team. You get a fast one, a fly one, and a strength one. And that sounds cool. Sonic, a triple threat. That's great. And then you get to Dark Team. And it was, of course, Shadow, the greatest character in the Sonic canon, except for Eggman. It goes Eggman, then Shadow. Or you play as Rouge the Bat and a robot. Some fucking robot. And then you really start getting to some C-tier, F-tier fucking Sonic characters where you're playing as Amy, Cream, and Big the Cat. And then you're playing as the Chaotix, and no one knows their names. You don't. You think you do? You don't. Look it up. You don't know. You're like, the crocodile's name is Jabberjaw. No, it isn't. So that is my answer.
I'm looking them up right now just because I needed to double check their names.
Evan, what was your first Sonic game, your most recent Sonic game, and the Sonic game you played the most of?
So those are excellent questions, and I have very interesting answers for 2 of them. The one I don't have an interesting answer for is the first one that I ever played. I actually played Sonic the Hedgehog 2 was my first game. When I was a wee lad, my parents didn't know too much about the video games, so I didn't really have any video games or anything to play. But I went over to my aunt and uncle's house, and they had recently purchased a Sega Genesis for their kids. So in the later 90s, so it was a very cheap console. But it was great because that was really my first introduction to actually really into games. Like, I had played some other stuff. Like, I had played some Mario. I'd done some other things, but it was the first, like, console I ever really got to play on. And the Sega Genesis actually ended up becoming the first console that I ever got because my parents talked to my uncle and aunt, and they were like, it was, like, real cheap, and the kids love it. So that's kind of how that worked. So I guess you could technically say that Sonic started what was a destructive life cycle of buying video games.
Sonic was the first one that's always free.
Yeah, basically. So that was the first game I've ever played. Now, if we're going to talk most recent, this is where I have an interesting point. Because if we're talking most recent as far as releases, I checked. The internet technically considers the most recent Smash Brothers to be a Sonic game because it had Sonic in it. But by that logic,
for the sake of this debate, I would argue that is not.
All right, that is what I was assuming. So this is where I have actually two answers. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, recently, or not recently, but it's something you can get on the Xbox Game Pass. And when I was back, yep, that's a real thing that you can do.
Jesus.
So most recently, I played Sonic Adventure 2 Battle because I was over at someone's house and they were playing it. So there's that. But if we're talking as far as new games, Mario and Sonic at the Olympics, 2016.
Where were they this time?
Oh god, I don't remember. I played 2 of the Mario and Sonic at the Olympics games, the first one and the second one. So if it's not 2016, if that wasn't the second one, I apologize, internet. It's been a minute.
Do they add anything to those games?
Yes and no. The only reason that these 2 were different is because they were 2 years apart. One was the summer and one was the winter Olympics. So they were very different. But as you go summer to summer, no, they update some stuff. So there's some more characters. There's some new times. I don't understand how that series is still going, if it's even still going.
Oh, did they have to nerf Vector?
I'm sure they had to nerf Vector. They probably had to nerf Charmy the Bee as well.
Oh boy, glad to know that. Glad to hear that Espio the Chameleon was still left a cleanup guy.
Yeah. One member of Team Chaotix has got to stay on their life.
Oh yeah.
Blaze the Cat, OP.
Too good.
Please nerf Blaze the Cat.
Yeah. So those were some games.
What was the Sonic game you played the most of? Like you played the longest time?
It was, I would say, ranking these, it would have had to have been Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, because I spent more hours in the Chow Garden than any person should have.
Oh.
Yeah.
We have too much space on the disc. Let's just put this here.
Yeah, and it ended up being the best feature of the entire game and the reason I kept playing. But that's definitely what it is. But if not that, it would have to be Sonic Heroes, simply due to the fact that Kevin mentioned that it's impossible to beat. I would disagree. While it sucked to play as Team Chaotix, I did beat all 4 storylines of that game.
So what happens at the end?
Well, it's been a long time, but if I remember correctly, when you finish all 4 storylines, you unlock like one additional boss that you have to go out and take down. And then there is like a final level that you go through and do. And if memory serves me correct, you have to play as Sonic during that one, I think. But like other people show up. Because at different points in time in Sonic Heroes, you have to fight the different groups. So you'll reach a point in time where, Sonic had to fight the evil team. But yeah, I believe that's what happened. But, a simple Google search would probably tell me I'm wrong.
That's fine. We do not have time for that.
Both are accurate.
Yes. So now, let's begin with the Great Sonic Debate. You will each have 5 minutes to state your case, and then we will open the floor for open discussion and cross-examination. Evan, please argue why Sonic is good for gaming.
All right. So, Sonic is good for gaming for a number of reasons, but one of the biggest reasons that he's good for gaming is because of how much he actually helped the game industry. When Sonic first came out, Mario was kind of crushing it, and everybody was basically just looking at them. And Sega was like, we need to come up with something. So Sega to not getting too in detail, came up with the idea of creating their own mascot who became Sonic. And Sonic ended up helping them take, I believe it was something like 65% of the market of like all of gaming, and they basically made it so that Nintendo wasn't a monopoly that was going on and happening. And then other companies and stuff started looking and seeing like, oh wait, Nintendo isn't this super giant that's going to take over the entire world. The rest of us have a shot. So if it wasn't for Sonic, the gaming industry would probably just be all Nintendo games and maybe like some other stuff, at least back in the 90s. So that's one really cool thing that he has going on. But since then, he's been able to define generations of things that have gone on. Not only did his game revolutionize the actual way that one makes games, because they had to figure out a new way to program in order to make it so Sonic would move smoothly, but I'm not going to get too into detail on that now. But on top of that, they also made just the platformer genre so much more popular. And then as time went on, they really started trying to reinvent things with a character that people already knew, which is how you were able to really see health systems become super important and go on. Collectibles really kind of started because of Sonic, which, you know, you could take for a good or bad thing depending on how much you like to spend time in games. But a lot of the things that like we use in modern games are things that like Sega and the initial Sonic games really kind of started to bring out, and then they just kind of started to nail that further and further in, and they iterated and made it more and more successful. So your health systems, your collectibles, a lot of those things are all things that we can kind of attribute to what was going on initially with them. But as time went on, Sonic, of course, became better and got iterated on and had a bunch of different games. Some games widely popular, other games not. But either way, you know, every game has good and bad sides. But Sonic's been able to be one thing that's really kind of been kept consistent throughout the years. If people always know he's there, you know, most people know who he is. He's not quite a Pikachu or a Mario, but he's still in that category of them. And so it's just really cool to see a character be created, exist, and be able to continue moving on throughout all of that. But outside of the actual world, in the games, Sonic is also just a point of... he's a really good talking point in the world. If you like video games, there's a chance you played a Sonic game at some point in time, and it's a chance for you to be able to like talk about something that happened in one of those games. Maybe it was, I can't believe this happened because this level was ridiculous, or maybe it's a constant discussion over, is Sonic the Heroes actually a beatable video game or not? But he is a topic that helped bring a lot of people together and helped make a lot of people learn kind of what was going on. Plus, he introduced a lot of really lovable characters outside of his main self. You know, we were talking about Vector the Crocodile and others. So those are some that, you know, maybe everybody doesn't love. But at the same time, we definitely got a lot of people and a lot of really interesting things that came out of it. And it's cool to see it make it all the way from what was initially like pixelated games that existed. And now we've moved all the way to where it's actually getting a movie, which is still kind of crazy to think about. But Sonic has been in a whole bunch of different kinds of media. I mean, he's had comics. He had a TV show for a while. And now he's become a crossover character that's showed up in tons and tons of different games. So overall, it's been crazy to see how one little character helped change the entirety of the gaming industry without that even being the intention behind it. So that's kind of why I ultimately think that Sonic was really good for gaming. He was able to help build up something and help make it so that people really thought that they had a chance in going through and actually creating video games. And yeah, I think I'm a little under 5 minutes, but I wanted to make sure I didn't go over. So that, in conclusion, is why ultimately I think that Sonic is good for gaming.
Wow, an exceptional piece, truly. My opponent in this debate has really proven himself with that beautiful speech. Thank you, Evan.
I cannot wait to be destroyed by you, Kevin.
Hi, guys. Sorry about that.
Justin was not listening.
All right,
No. My computer locked down for a second, and it and I was afraid I lost everything, so I had to almost return it back on. So
yeah, his
I lost the
computer
last half.
Locked out. No, it's okay.
I missed the last half of that, but
it was really great and really thoughtful, Justin.
Awesome.
It was. I'm truly driven to tears by what Evan just said, but you'll never hear it.
I'll never hear your brilliant argument, and that's our time for you, Evan.
This is why I ended early. I knew.
Wow.
Okay, Kevin. Now you have 5 minutes to state your case for why Sonic is bad for gaming. And
and
go.
All right, Sonic is the ultimate fucking fail child. Sonic comes out of the gate so strong, knocks it out of the park 3 times in a row, is a huge game, changes the face of gaming, and then never does anything good ever again. From 1992 to now, for the exact length of my life, Sonic has completely failed to ever approach anything in the stratosphere of his early success. It is the ultimate rich kid fail child fucking scenario. Sonic was the biggest thing in the world in 1992, and they make a movie in 2020. That is fucked up. You fucked that up. Sonic has managed to never make a solidly, unapproachably, without question, good game since they left the Genesis. And honestly, that is almost impressive. In a series of blunders, the initial conversion to 3D nearly kills it because those games are non-functional. None of the 3D Sonics where he is running around in multi-dimensional space approach basic functionality. Let us not dive into Sonic 06, a legendarily broken game. His introduction to the Xbox 360 era of platforms, and it is legendarily one of the worst games ever made. The kicker being, everything that follows isn't any good. It's just baseline more functional. They were constantly married to these gimmicks, whether it was shaking the Wiimote controls, which has never worked in any video game. Each game is so bad, they completely reinvent the gimmick of the next game. Sometimes he's running around with these little colored fellows that give him special powers. Sometimes he's in... They did a storybook trilogy where he's fighting the Black Knight, or he's in Arabian Nights. They made an entire game that is like, you like Super Mario Galaxy, right? What if we did Super Mario Galaxy, but you were always falling because you were playing as Sonic the Hedgehog? They have managed to again and again and again completely fail to meet a basic standard of quality. If Sonic was not an iconic, undeniable character design, he would have been tossed in the fucking trash bin with Gex and Bubsy the cat so long ago that he would be a fondly remembered classic that would have disappeared from the cultural consciousness. When Vern Tooley was on the show, he also has a famous rant about how Sonic has completely overblown his fucking bridges. But it is the densest, most incomprehensible mythology. These cast of worthless fucking characters like Cream the Rabbit, and they're not one-off characters. Sonic cannot introduce a bum-ass character and then leave them behind. They refuse to let anything go, so they drag kicking and screaming into each new iteration of Sonic some bullshit-ass robot from Sonic Adventure 1. They contrive every possible way to just, by their hair, pull Big the Cat into game after game after game. And the only way that Sonic continues to survive is through the internet era of irony poisoning, where you get things like the Sonic Dreams collection, which is this bizarre approach to the Sonic mythos. You get horrible Sonic fan art. You get Sonic OCs. It survives on irony alone. The saddest, limpest, most desiccated IP, this shambling corpse of what once was a mighty king, limping across the finish line of life and collapsing into a pile of dust. I rest my case.
And that is your time. Okay. Strong stuff. Evan, I will yield the floor. You have 5 minutes to answer retaliatory questions against Kevin's point.
Okay. Point of clarification: am I asking Kevin questions, or am I just responding to things that he said?
Ask questions, and you know what? You can do both. You can do both.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure I knew what I was doing. Okay, cool. So, my opponent Kevin brought up a lot of really good points as he was going through, talking about, games. And as I kind of mentioned, Sonic had a lot of successes and a lot of not successes at the same time, including Kevin mentioned the Black Knight series, which is regarded as one of the worst video games that kind of ever came out, because Sonic definitely did a stint where he went through different periods of time for shenanigans. But at the same time, Sonic actually did have a handful of games that were pretty successful. They weren't like the largest games to come out ever, but for instance, Sonic Mania came out in 2017, and it was actually one of the better Sonic games that kind of ever came out, because Sonic Mania basically took a lot of the different content and stuff that existed, and they introduced a ton of characters. So, you get your cats, Kevin. You get kind of like everybody, but they really, I don't know, I guess the best way I could say it is put a lot of like heart and soul kind of into the game, because they actually paid attention to a lot of the details, and they made it, I will say, similar to, they brought back a lot of levels, brought back a lot of similar things that existed back in like the early 90 versions, but it's one of those things that was pretty cool to hear about. As mentioned, I have not played Sonic Mania, but from what I've heard, a lot of the stuff that went into it, people really seem to enjoy, and it was received pretty well. So it has done stuff that has been successful. It's just that I feel a lot of the Sonic fans were going and doing stuff, but the Sonic fans aren't the people, movie excluded. The Sonic video game fans aren't the people that are going out and blasting every other video game franchise as well, because they're playing their games, they're enjoying their games, and then if someone shows Sonic enjoyment, they're like, hey, I like me that Sonic games. So that being said, my question I have for Kevin is, Kevin, why do you think, like, this is like just an opinion-based question, not like give me factual evidence behind it, but why do you think none of his other games were successful when a lot of them really were? They've sold really well, actually.
The success is not determined by monetary sums. Sonic is a known quantity, and there is a baseline number of people, including people buying things for their children, whether or not the children ask for them, that are going to purchase a Sonic the Hedgehog product because of the brand recognition. But the cultural legacy of these Sonic games. Yes, there have been successful games in the last 30 years of Sonic, but God help me, there's been 2 of them in 30 years. It is an embarrassing track record. Whether or not a few of them sold well, their legacy in the cultural consciousness is fallow. It is as some of the worst games of all time, whether or not they sold particularly well.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I would agree that it's not just monetarily value-based. And that's where my thoughts for a lot of people did enjoy the games as well, was kind of the other part of that. But I mean, Sonic also had a stint in like so many different categories, which you could view good or bad depending on how much you like those things. But Sonic was one of the game franchises that was like, you know what? We're going to go make a racing game, and then we're going to go make a skateboard game. And then for some reason they decided that Shadow should be allowed to use guns, and then Shadow the Hedgehog happened. But, they definitely pushed a lot of the bounds of what was going on. And so I think some of that negativity, you could say, was based on the fact that they continued to try and continue to do things instead of sticking to that traditional 2D RPG, which is why, for instance, Sonic Mania did really well, because it went back to kind of those roots of like 2D and such.
But they can't attain success beyond their own nostalgia. The only times when they've been able to produce good games, your Sonic Mania, your Sonic Generations, is when they've come crawling back to 2D Sonic after another series of failed experiments. I've forgotten about more bad Sonic games than exist. You just reintroduced to me Sonic Riders, an unplayable game where they all ride hoverboards. An unplayable game. They did a racing game. Toy Story did a racing game. Crash Bandicoot did everyone does a racing game. That is the baseline plug and play you can do this in a night. I personally put 20 hours into the Woody the Woodpecker Game Boy Advance racing game. So don't you give me racing game as an experiment. That is just short of mobile app game, bejeweled clone as far as lazy game development is concerned. I'm sorry.
There is a Sonic the Hedgehog mobile game. I just wanted to throw that out there.
Oh, is it a bejeweled clone? Is it a Candy Crush saga?
It's
Sonic Angry Birds? Angry Hedgehogs?
I do not believe it's like that. I have not played it, but I mean, a quick look into kind of Wikipedia informs me that they totaled over 920 million downloads by 2019 on their free-to-play mobile game. That's what Wikipedia has informed me of, but it doesn't tell me what the game actually is.
All right.
Evan, that is unfortunately your time for cross-examination. Kevin, you now have 5 minutes to cross-examine Evan's argument that Sonic is, in fact, good for gaming.
I understand. Thank you, counselor. Thank you, esteemed judges. I am, of course, on the App Store, where the Sonic the Hedgehog game is lower in profit and notability than the Sonic Drive-In app. Where unsponsored, it is at the top of the page, and of course every Sonic game is a fucking Temple Run ripoff on the App Store. And I that was the obvious choice. I rest my fucking case on that. And you know what? I will do something you're not supposed to do in debate. I will concede a point that Sonic changed the face of gaming. You know, anyone that's read the great book Console Wars that we bring up on every episode of this show can get a first-hand experience on that. And Sonic has indeed brought people joy over the years. Has indeed, you know, he is not a worthless commodity in the same way that a Bubsy, the Bobcat, would perhaps be. However, one must look to Sonic's contemporaries. And though for a brief moment he outpaced the Red Plumber Mario, Mario and the people at Nintendo, or nay, other contemporary properties to Sonic, the Legend of Zelda franchise, the Castlevania franchise, had long stints of profitability, of consistent quality work, that when one invested in a game with that moniker, with that brand recognition on the top, one assumed a baseline level of quality. And all the best video game franchises throughout the years follow this period. You know, it used to be you knew that if you liked Halo, you knew the next Halo was going to be good. Evan, you are a devotee to the Assassin's Creed franchise. And God help you, Sonic has never been able to maintain any consistency of quality. It almost as you will get a brief blip on the radar of this might be a promising Sonic game, a Sonic Colors, a Sonic Generations, a Sonic Mania, but it is immediately followed by unplayable, boring garbage, like Sonic Forces, like Sonic Lost World. Again, we drag them up again. The Black Knight, Shadow the Hedgehog, Sonic Heroes, any of these games, there is a permanent, immovable black spot on the history of Sonic that cannot be overcome, is that he cannot maintain consistent quality, consistent pleasing of his audience, and he seems to succeed through brand recognition alone. Monetary success is not the ultimate arbiter of quality, though I have nothing against the film. Finding Dory is one of the 10 highest grossing films of all time, when it pales in comparison to many films around it. If we're going off monetary success, the Transformers film franchise is beat for beat the third best series of films of all time. It truly, Sonic now resides down in the Davy Jones locker with the Pirates of the Caribbean franchise, where despite some very early, undeniable success and level of quality, it has become mired in its own bullshit and permanently stayed in its cultural legacy. And God help me if it comes out that Sonic spends $100,000 a week on wine, and may that never happen.
Do you have any question? Did you have a question?
No, I couldn't think of one. Explain yourself. I mean, Evan, in his own questions, responded to my questions. I have no questions for the opposition.
Okay. All right, then let us open the floor to the question: how do you make a Sonic game good?
Trick question. Can't be done. I jest.
Evan, I believe you know a thing or two about game design.
I do know a bit about it, yeah. I'll jump into that first while Kevin prepares his no doubt stunning jokes.
His epic riffs.
Yeah, that's what I'm really here for. That's what I'm really waiting for.
Come for the game design, stay for the riffs.
That's great tagline, just saying.
Thank you.
Yes. But anyways, so I think that what you do is I think you really have to look at who Sonic is and like what he is and what he has gone through and done. So the thing is, as we kind of mentioned as Kevin and I were kind of going back and forth, is that Sonic's real successes have definitely been in kind of the 2D thing. You know, when he entered the 3D world, he didn't necessarily have as smooth as of a transition as Mario did. You know, Mario definitely managed to get into the 3D world and just like crush it. But Sonic didn't, because Sonic worked incredibly well for a 2D platformer. And anytime you try to make a 3D platformer, it's usually nowhere near as successful. And so I think the things that Sonic really needs to do is Sonic needs to make sure that he's able to stick to those 2D kind of ideas. You can make it 3D, but I mean, there's been a ton of 2D platformers that have come out that people have really enjoyed going through and playing. You know, to think of one that came out not too long ago, you have...
Shovel Knight.
Yeah, you have Shovel Knight. I'm trying to think of others because Nintendo has made a lot of them. But we'll go with Shovel Knight because that's probably the most popular that's gone on. It definitely had that 2D. It had a ton of popularity behind it. I've been playing a lot of a game called Chariot recently, which is a lot of fun. Also 2D. But, you know, like a lot of 2D games still exist, and a lot of them can be really popular. And that's what I think that they need to start and kind of focus on. There's a part of me that's concerned they're going to try and take the Sonic movie and make it a Sonic the Movie, the video game.
Oh, no!
Yes.
Which, like, that's a thing that most people do now because they see huge dividends off of it. And my biggest concern with that is they're going to go, yeah, we just make it a 3D game where you can run around the planet. And I think that on top of the fact that I don't know how good of an idea that is because Sonic's a movie, I don't think that that's going to work for them. That type is not going to function. They need to stick to the roots and what they've been successful with. The diversification, as Kevin mentioned, is not going as well for them. But I think another part of that, and then I'll concede over to Kevin for his topic, is that Sega, after they kind of like stopped making consoles, they pretty much just became a publisher. And after they became a publisher, they basically just put money into things, and their studio didn't really even make the Sonic games anymore.
Oh.
So yeah, because like Sega themselves, like Sega wasn't in there making like crazy games and stuff. A lot of the time they were just like, yes, you would like to make a Sonic game? Give us money, we'll then help you make things. And people were basically kind of able to go through and do that. So I think if we had some of the people that, you know, truly cared about what Sonic was doing and what was happening, we wouldn't have had a Sonic and the Black Knight and such.
Is that why, like, Sonic fans seem to have so much more success in, like, designing interesting, functional Sonic games rather than the Sega company? Because they, like, focus less on keeping the Sonic brand alive?
I would think, yeah, actually, because people that are doing that are because they like Sonic. They want to do, or, you know, they like those kind of games. They like what's going on. Whereas a lot of the times, like, for instance, Sonic and the Black Knight, did Sonic need to go into the medieval ages and fight against knights? No. No, he did not need to go and do that. But someone thought, ooh, what if we take the brand and just make a game that we want to make, but try and use that brand in order to make this game successful? And I think that's why we see a lot of these, like, negatively reviewed and not really successful Sonic games, because people are trying to get that brand. They're trying to keep the brand alive instead of trying to keep Sonic as a character alive. Whereas Mario's been Mario. Like, Mario's going and doing stuff, Mario's doing adventures, but Mario knows who he is, and they make games about who Mario is. They take Sonic and then go, Sonic's in this game now, and he's kind of the same person, but at the same time, not really.
Hence why, like, someone clearly developed a game where you play a burly guy with stretchy arms, and then they put Sonic in it.
Yeah.
And just made him a werewolf to make it fit.
Yeah, Sonic Unleashed! I had forgotten!
I wasn't going to bring up Sonic Unleashed, but yes. That's why you get a lot of those different games that are going to show up that are like, what is happening and what is going on here. And so, like we've kind of said, I definitely believe that it is, they were trying to keep the brand alive and not the character alive, which led to a lot of these downfalls of stuff.
So then who did Sonic 06? Was that not Sega? Was that just another studio?
Let me find out real quick for you who made that. I'll let Kevin talk while I do a quick Google search.
Phenomenal. Is it over to me to talk about making a good Sonic game?
Yes. How would you, Kevin, go? Like, how would you make a Sonic game good?
Okay. Now I have 2 ideas, and they are directly oppositional to each other. Are you ready?
Go ahead.
Number 1, you make Sonic the Hedgehog 5. You do a stripped down 2D bare bones basic ass Sonic game. The only thing that has ever worked with any consistency, a 2D Genesis graphicked Sonic the Hedgehog game. You stop fucking repeating the same levels in all of them, because that is what they do. You don't start out with Green Hill Zone this time. You do something different. You put new ideas in there, but you keep the core basic mechanics. Maybe you bring in Tails, because Tails is always fun, and it's nice to have local 2-player co-op. That is what you do. Now, if I'm putting my own bullshit in there, we have a different game. It's called Sonic RPG. It is a 100-hour fantasy epic RPG where Sonic...
That's actually been done.
What do you mean?
Sonic Chronicles.
What?
Yeah, it's a turn-based, party-based RPG.
Sonic Chronicles, The Dark Brotherhood. Sonic...
Yes.
It's a compelling game.
Sonic...
Where, yes, and there's Evil Echidna. From another dimension.
It already exists.
It already happened.
My weird fucking pitch.
Your riff. Your goof.
My goof, my gaff, my laugh 'em up pitch. They already did it. Which I think proves my initial argument point more than anything. Because I thought of the dumbest, stupidest idea. I thought of the wildest, they should never do this idea. And they did it more than once.
The game, the format that is least conducive to going fast.
To anything that is relevant to Sonic the Hedgehog. And they've already done it. Then my second recommendation is put Big the Cat in Smash. Thank you. Not as an assist trophy. Big a playable character.
As a full playable character.
And
yes.
you catch guys with the fishing rod. It's also how you catch yourself on a ledge when you fall off. Right, he makes himself. Reskin Banjo. make Froggy his little bird.
That's
there
it.
You go.
That you figured it out.
There we go.
Crack that coconut.
Okay, so the next question is, why do Sonic games continue? How has he not gone the way of Bubsy or, for the most part, Crash Bandicoot or Klonoa the Rabbit?
So, I'll jump in on that question. I want to clarify something we talked about a few moments ago. I looked into Sonic 06 as I said I would.
Yes.
So the reason that Sega is no longer making Sonic games is because Sega took a portion of their group and made what they called the... double check the name to make sure I get it right. Yeah, they created the Sonic team, is what they were called. Yes. And the Sonic team was the team that was going to go through and basically make games that were going to exist. Yeah,
like they were just an assembly line to just churn out Sonic games.
So they did two things. They worked on games, but at the same time, they oversaw other studios that are going to make games. So, and I quote from the lovely Wikipedia page that I'm on, is that the Sonic team did indeed make Sonic 06. However, they wanted to make sure that they had a holiday release, and so they rushed a lot of the game to make sure it was launched by them. So I looked a little bit more into them, and it's really interesting because in 2017 they developed Sonic Forces. However, they oversaw development of Sonic Mania. So somebody else made Sonic Mania, tying back into our previous topic we were talking about, that other people that are going to like keep Sonic alive and not the brand alive are definitely making the more interesting and fun games, because Mania was much more successful than Forces was.
Mm-hmm. So why do you think that is? Why do you think that like Sonic people want to keep playing these games? Why? What does Sonic give them that Crash Bandicoot or Spyro don't?
So I'll jump in on this one unless Kevin would like to go first.
Nah, have at it.
All right. So I think what keeps people coming back is a combination of a few things. A, we've mentioned nostalgia a few times. That's definitely it. People want to keep playing those Sonic games, and also they want it to be a good Sonic game. You know, the people that grew up with Sonic, much like the people that grew up with, you know, Legend of Zelda and Mario and all those things. People grew up with these characters that they knew, that they followed their story they were interested in. And I think people want to see where like Link's adventures continue to take him. They want to see what happens with Sonic and where it is he's going to go. They want to know what it is going on. But ultimately, I think a lot of the time people are coming back is because they're chasing that nostalgia. They want to be able to go back and play Sonic Adventures. You know, they want to be able to play Sonic the Hedgehog. They want to go back and do those things. And a lot of the games haven't been able to, which is why we, of course, have seen more success in the games that were very similar. And as Kevin mentioned, reusing a lot of the levels and things that exist. Mm-hmm. And so that's why I think that ultimately people come back and they keep playing a lot of these Sonic games because they're hoping to kind of relive those childhood days and get back those super amazing memories.
So I think answering this question is going to help me boil down my thesis for this entire endeavor that we are on here at Sonic the HEDGEPod. It is that Sonic has a blank check in the same way that M. Night Shyamalan or the Wachowski siblings came in, made one massive, undeniable hit. The Sixth Sense, The Matrix, or the initial 3 Sonic the Hedgehog games. And the iconography of those became so good and so undeniable that Sonic was everywhere in a way that Crash Bandicoot, Gex, Bubsy, all the failed mascots.
Right, Star.
Who were in their own ways ripping off Sonic the Hedgehog. They all failed to connect because they never had that same big initial success that has allowed the Blue Blur to continue to write these fucking bounced checks over and over and over, all over town. But people just cannot forget about how Sonic once made them feel. And maybe, just maybe, they will get it right again. And that is why, and Sonic has a ton of iconography. Sonic has something that those other characters don't. 5 Saturday morning cartoon shows that I think have really helped to maintain Sonic's popularity and get young kids interested in Sonic in the same way that Pokemon has not fucking flagged in over 20 years. In the same way, although Pokemon, I think, maintains a much higher consistency than Sonic the Hedgehog, it is the same way, in a way that, say, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has not. And Yu-Gi-Oh! Does not have a young, interested fan base in the same way that these other ones do. So we hold on to Sonic because we dream, like M. Night or the Wachowskis, that Sonic will again be good.
I think one interesting thing to kind of play off of on what Kevin was kind of saying there was that if we look at, for instance, like we look at a Spyro or we look at a Crash or any of those people, they had, incredibly successful games. You look at Spyro 1, Spyro 2, all three of the Spyro games.
Skylanders.
Yeah. So, like, you look at any of those things, and then you look at the fact that, like, Spyro had a fourth game, and Enter the Dragon was not good.
No.
So you look at that, and then you look at the fact that, like, they didn't make any other Spyro games. Like, yes, I guess you can consider Spyro or Skylanders to be a Spyro game, but is it really?
No, I don't. It very quickly stopped being about Spyro.
Yeah, Spyro is in it for having played all of them, I think. Spyro is in the first one for like a little while, and then it's like Spyro is basically there as a talking point, and he's there so you have someone to follow along consistently, but it does not matter at all that he's here at all. But anyways, like, we see that, like, for instance, Spyro the series had one failure and 3 huge successes, but then they just kind of stopped. Whereas Sonic, they've had 28 different Sonic games that have come out, basically. And that's like Sonic games, not including the, like the Smash, as I mentioned earlier, and stuff. And so it's really interesting that, if a game series was to be not successful, that they've managed to have those failures, but still maintain that popularity and people keep making games about them.
It is a miracle that Sonic survived Sonic Shuffle.
That is a fair point.
No, I was about to say that I could not have survived Sonic Shuffle. So props to the Blue Blur.
So with this nigh immortality, this true ability to get knocked down, but he gets up again, and we can never keep him down, Evan, do you think Sonic will survive the transition from the console to the silver screen?
That's the $1 million question, isn't it, Justin?
Because I believe we've conclusively agreed that Sonic was never exactly good, but he always has the capacity to be good again.
I think that's fair.
Do you think the movie will make Sonic great again?
See, the way you asked that question and the way you just asked that question are very different questions. If he will survive and if it will make him great again.
Will he die and come back stronger?
I think that we have proven throughout this discussion that Sonic can't die. So I don't think that the movie is going to kill Sonic. I think what the movie is going to do, by that token, I don't think it's going to make him great either. The people that are going to go see the Sonic the Hedgehog movie are us. They're the people that are like, all right, we got to know what's going to happen.
Irony poisoned.
Yes, it's going to be a lot of us. And then on the opposite sides of that, it's going to be the diehards. Oh my God, I can't believe they're making a Sonic movie. And then on the flip side, it's going to be adults that were like, I remember, like, people around our age, or a little bit older that have kids that grew up playing Sonic, and maybe they don't have that nostalgia, but they go, oh, you know what? I loved playing those games. I haven't played one in 30 years, but I've got, 8-year-old kids now. I've got 12-year-old kids, whatever. I want them to see what Sonic is like. I want to introduce them. And so I think that's really who's ultimately going to go see this movie. This movie, without a doubt, though, is going to be, every critic is either going to hate it, and every fan is going to love it, or every critic is going to love it, and every fan is going to hate it. There is no possibility that both sides of this will say it's a good movie, but I definitely think one side is going to say they did something really good.
Okay, so Evan, what was your first reaction when you saw the initial trailer?
Oh, my teeth.
Oh, the teeth! That's what you got caught on.
Yeah, no, there were a lot of concerning things, but you asked my first initial one. I'm watching it, I'm like, all right, so wait till we see Sonic. Let's wait to see what he looks like. You know, I purposely tried to stay away from any images till the trailer came out. And then as soon as I see him, the first thing you see him is I looked at him and I thought, what? And after I thought, what? He did the yell and I went, oh God, and just felt terror and had to pause it and move back to go, what did they do to you? What is this? And those were my initial reactions upon the first time I saw the trailer.
So, what elements from the games do you think they will incorporate into the movie?
So we've seen a handful of those already in the trailers that have existed, the original ones plus the redesigned ones. We know for sure that rings are going to be very important. We know that he's able to use rings to travel between locations. So we know there's that. Obviously, we know that he's going to use a lot of his super speed. I really do imagine that they're going to use the bounces, you know, the jumps that you could use before, the springs. I believe that those are going to come in as well. But
Is he going to get his power shields?
I don't think he's going to get his power shields unless he gets his power shields as one of the, like, this is the end of things. You know, I have collected, I've done something, it was inside me the whole time. You know, we do one of those cliches, and then he has it.
He has the lightning shield that draws all the rings to him.
Yeah, like, those things are going to happen later. I do not think we're going to see the Chaos Emeralds. I think that there's not even going to be mention of the Chaos Emeralds existing, because no one cared about the Chaos Emeralds until Robotnik finds out about them.
Okay. Well, no, I believe are they going to be called Chaos Emeralds, or will they continue the Chaos Crystal trend started in Sonic Boom?
I want to say that they're going to stick with Crystal. And the reason I want to say they're going to stick with Crystal is, as I mentioned before, and as we talked about, the nostalgia is why a lot of people are going to go see this. So, you know, the people that played Sonic Boom, I like Sonic. I did not play Sonic Boom. And Sonic Boom is also regarded as, like, one of the worst games. So I think they're going to stick with the crystals because, you know, it's a very modern movie. And if in the modern times we've had crystals, as we've seen, for instance, in Sonic Heroes, Sonic Adventure 2, a lot of those other games, they were always referred to as crystal while the world appeared to be in the state it was in.
Do you think they'll introduce any of Sonic's extremely expansive cast, and or should they?
So all I can say is if Charmy B and Espio the Chameleon don't show up, I'm going to riot. But
we need our Silver the Hedgehog.
Yeah, I need Silver, I need Shadow, I need all of the other hedgehogs to show up.
Where's my Marine the Raccoon?
Right, if Amy's not in it, what are we even watching? But no,
where are Sonic's two siblings from Sonic Underground?
No, those aren't. Sega doesn't allow anything from the cartoons in the games.
That's disgusting. They should change their mind.
Sega hates like everything America's done with Sonic. They hate the name Robotnik.
Okay, but the original Japanese conception of Sonic was that he had a big-titted human girlfriend. So, like, maybe some creative decisions needed to be made.
Yeah, I think that's fair. But to actually answer your question, Justin, I do not think that we are. From what we've seen from the trailers, Sonic appears to be very alone. He seemed to have more enemies than friends on his original planet. He was talking about how everybody chased him to get his powers, and so he came to a completely different world by himself to avoid any of the problems. And if we've learned anything from the games, it's Sonic definitely relied on all of his friends to help him get out of that situation. So I don't think Sonic would come to Earth and make a human friend if he had Tails and Knuckles and Amy and anybody else backing him up back in, you know, whatever world it is he's from.
Mobius.
South Island.
Green Hill Zone.
Yes. No, Green Hill is in California.
Oh, yes.
Oh, God, this movie's gonna fucking rip. Okay, so, gentlemen, closing statements. You each have 5 minutes to make closing statements about our beloved boy.
All right, I'll go first, and I am not using 5 minutes. I have more than exhausted by side of this conversation. This movie is going to be trash, but Sonic kind of deserves a trash movie. And he is an unkillable devil. If Sonic 06 did not kill Sonic, if Sonic Boom did not kill Sonic, then this movie will not kill Sonic, because Sonic cannot die. And like Rasputin, he cannot die until we toss him into the river. I close my statement.
Thank you, Evan.
I really liked a lot of the topics that Kevin brought up there. I agree that Sonic is definitely unkillable. I think he's not unkillable because of the love. I think he's like unkillable because of our desire for him to exist and be better and get back to what we
Because of a dark pact with Satan.
Well, also that.
Is Sonic our Prometheus to constantly be like devoured on the chained rock, only to regrow the next day?
Only if Sonic fans are Sisyphus pushing the fucking rock up the mountain only for it to run them over on the way back down.
The rolled up hedgehog.
Yes.
There's a
Sorry,
reason
Evan,
that Sonic goes into... No, you're totally fine. Yeah, I'm not going to necessarily disagree with Kevin's statement on that this movie is going to end up being trash. I don't have super high expectations for the film itself. I can tell you I'm going to go see it because I have to know, much like I saw other films this year or last year, I guess, technically, because I just had to know what was going to happen in that. But yeah, I think ultimately he's going to have I would say second coming, but it's like 5 at this point in time.
he's had more comings than he's deserved.
Yeah, so I think that he's going to have another time. He's going to have a moment that's going to come back where he's definitely going to be in the limelight again. I don't know when it's going to happen, but it's bound to happen because it's inevitable. 28 games, half of which were successes, half of which were failures, if you want to break it into kind of like very arbitrary numbers on that. Mm-hmm. But he's going to have something that's going to be really successful. I don't believe it's going to be the movie, but I think the movie is going to introduce enough people to give its next game that comes out, as long as it's not a movie based on the game, to have a pretty good chance of succeeding. So we'll see what that ends up coming from it. I'm excited for it, but not in a positive way.
Okay, Evan, and on that hesitant note, I believe we'll we'll round this out. Evan, where can people find you?
So people can find me online, pretty much every form of medium. I'm known as Class of Hacksaws. Twitter, anything.
Want to spell that?
Sure. It's
No.
No is the funner answer, but no, it's CLAS space OF space HAXZORS.
Excellent. And do you have anything to plug?
Listen to more of Kevin and Justin's stuff because they're really funny and they're cool people. I personally don't have anything that I go out and make, but I play a lot of video games. And the only other thing I can plug is my girlfriend is Gail Fox on Twitter. She does a ton of really cool art and really cool other stuff. So if you like cool art and other things, check her out. Quite welcome.
And you can listen to Kevin and I on multiple projects. The Puffin Publishing Podcast, which is a sketch comedy about authors. You can also listen to us on Jan, Just Another Night, an actual play about spooky, dooky monster hunters.
That's right. Follow my new Instagram account, Party for Pikachu, the number 4, wherein Pikachu and Eevee are at a party engaging in small talk. I'm told people think it's funny for whatever reason. Party for Pikachu.
Thank you. This has been Sonic the HEDGEPod, and keep ringing out there, folks. Nope. I'm gonna try again.
Gotta go last.
This has been a Talkback Podcast.